Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about something very deep, that is fixing global warming gradually, part 1. This time I will focus on water. So let's dive deep into it. Now, why I'm making this series is that I have said many times that global warming is a solved problem, meaning we know what to do, how to do it, and we are in the phase of deploying those tools. Now, what does that mean? That simply means we are in a phase of recovery. We are not in a position where it's taken care of, but we are in a position where we are doing things. So what does that mean? That simply means global warming is real, it's here, and it's a problem. So many times people have this dumb idea of like showing this melting ice cap to express global warming, which is the dumbest thing I have ever seen, simply because most people don't live here. They can have no contextual awareness of it. What does that signifies? So I find this sort of images much better. Is that we have bridges, especially in India, we have a lot of rivers, so we have a lot of bridges. Now those bridges were designed to withstand flooding and of course drought also, but flooding was the main concern. They were high, tall enough and all that, and they have markings generally going down to show like generally drought conditions, and you can figure out how deep the water is. Here's the deal. Nowadays almost all rivers in all of India goes to almost bare bottom, as in like nothing is there in during summer months, peak summer month, meaning we have lost rivers. Like the rivers that used to flow continuously is now, you will be lucky to find flow in rainy season, or you will find some flash flooding and gone, poof, done. So that's a very serious situation, and this is a much better way to connect to people that it's happening to you, it's happening to everyone around you. So I always find this dried out river to be much better, like oh okay, it's real and it's here kind of scenario. Now, many times people have this sort of love relationship with planet Earth, but you have to understand, let's come down to Earth, so to say. It's just a lump of rock. There is nothing difference in basically Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, or at least all the rocky bodies. So if you are like Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, so all these things are rocky planets. Nothing magical about it. There is no magic, no Gaia, no magic, no Hululu. It's just everything that we matter, everything that we care about is the biosphere on it. That's the key. Not the planet itself, is the biosphere. If we ever built a technology where we can just, let's say, encapsulate that biosphere in O'Neill cylinders, that still would be more than valuable enough for us. So do not have that random weird love factors like Earth. No, it's the biosphere that you have to give a damn about. Now, we always, many times people, especially children, who again, because of the bad storytellings and because of some, harmful activism, they have this weird, it's like we are destroying the biosphere or Earth and all that jazz. First, Earth does not matter, it's just a lump of rock. Biosphere, it does matter, but here's the interesting part. It has been destroyed frequently and by many reasons, sometimes biological reasons, sometimes cosmological reasons, and sometimes by the planet itself. For example, supermassive volcanoes, those literally eradicated majority of life species on Earth. How many it eradicated? The more that we have caused. Basically, we are causing mass extinction event. That is absolutely true. But the amount of loss we have caused so far, it's nothing. Nothing compared to one supermassive volcano, which is a clock cycle event, meaning it's gonna happen, it happens regularly until the core freezes over. At that point, you will have magnetic failure issue, which will cause another mass extinction event, and there is a very good chance you won't recover after that. So it's one of those things that this is not magical. Oh, life only exists here. No, it's just a fluke, and we are very lucky to be in that. It's not like, oh, there is something cosmological, something protecting us. No, no, no. We are just lucking out every time. Every time, like hundreds of millions of species comes to be, and boom, sometime asteroid makes love to Earth, and then bam, majority of species just go poof. Thankfully, mammals survived, so we came to be. But that has happened multiple times. It's a regular event for basically planet's biosphere. So do not get too hung up on the, oh, we have caused so much death and destruction. Earth is like, bro, that's like chapter number 4 for me. It's like, bro, don't elevate yourself to that level. It's like it's a comment. It's like a Tuesday for me. Then we matter the most. Why? We are self-conscious. We matter the most because only as a species, we are the only one who can leave this Earth. Why does that matter? Think in this way. What is the most important product of this biosphere? Us. Intelligence, sentience. So what does that translate to? That translates to the ability to leave this biosphere, meaning we can start here and we can go everywhere. We can go to Mercury, Venus, Mars, other solar system, other galaxies. We can spread out. What does that make Earth then? Earth becomes the cradle of civilization. Right now, Earth is nothing. And if we go poof, let's say because of some environmentalist figures out how to make a magical virus and poofs us out of existence, plot of a movie, and then we all disappear, what happens to Earth? Earth goes eventually poof, and it would have accounted for nothing. Nothing. Zero. Absolute zero. So we are the only one that has the ability to jump out of this limiting vectors. Horses don't matter, crabs don't matter. They will be poofed the moment planet expires. Which, mind you, it's a fixed thing. As same way, there is a very deep saying that's like, the only guarantee that you have once you are born is death. That's the only thing that is guaranteed, that you're gonna die. It's the only interesting part is how or when. So same happens with Earth. Earth is a planet that's gonna go poof, no matter what, no matter how, but it's gonna go. That's a fixed thing. How? That's the interesting part from scientific point of view. Meaning we can have some asteroid that is making love. We can have supermassive volcanoes that this time like, no, this is the 7th time. I'm gonna make sure I poof out every single species. Maybe succeeds in this time. And then again, be mindful, every explosion drains the core of heat. Over time, the core will freeze and bam, no more magnetosphere. Sun is making extra love, which somehow will like glorify sun as like life giving. It's like, no, bro, we are radiation giving. All your atmosphere gone, no recovery from that. So this is critical aspect that you have to understand, that we are the most important thing here, because if we go, everything else goes with us, so to say. And this is one thing that's very hard to convey, is like we do not get the instruction manual. There is no alien species that came, it's like, here's the manual how to handle your planet. We have messed up ours, so we figured it out, we colonized second planet, then we did it better, then we colonized third, fourth, we became master of it, here's the manual for it. We don't have that. We are the first one of our kind. We have to learn, and of course, every time you learn, you break stuff. Like, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. It's one of those things. It's like you have to do this. Like no baby is born with the ability to piss and poop properly. We have to give them diapers. But you do not like, oh, let's poof the baby because it cannot do that. It's like, bro, it will learn over time. Same with us. We are barely 500 years old when it comes to modern technology. Barely. And it's like, what did you expect? It's like we're going to figure out all the technologies and all the consequences on how to do it properly in day one. Like it's a multi-century process. So, and the consequence of all this poisoning that we had is that anti-humanism sentiment becomes a common thing. And the moment you ever become anti-sentiment, please poof yourself. Like flat out, poof yourself. Because here's the, I can guarantee you this. If you ever became anti-human, where it's like, oh, human is the worst, human is the bad, and misanthropic, so to say, I can guarantee you all you are doing is that making it worse. I can guarantee you that. The only outcome of your existence would be making things worse for other people and including environment itself. Nobody likes to hear it's like, oh, we should poof ourselves. It's like, no, I don't. Yeah, am I the perfect? Hell no. Am I the one who's actively working my ass off to make myself better? Yes. Are there other people who are doing it? Yes. Are there more people doing it than not doing it? Absolutely. That's the whole reason we have a planet left. Remember, we are this close to nuclear Armageddon. We are still here. So you have to understand that. Like, if you ever become anti-human, you are wrong. Flat out. You do not need discussion. You do not, oh, I have this evidence. No, you are wrong. The end. Because you are trying to poof out the only thing that can extend the life of this biosphere. So I can guarantee you that. And be mindful, the problem is big. The global warming problem is a big problem. Many times people have this weird idea, it's like, it's a very recent thing. No. We have been spewing out emissive gases from like as early as 1850s, so to say. This is just like, culmination of it. It's like you built a dam, the reservoir does not fill in day one. Sometimes it takes years. So something similar has happened with Earth. It's like it had a capacity of how much CO2 it can handle. We started to slowly add to it. It did not make too much of an impact in first century. Second century that we are in right now is like, yeah, now it's having an effect. So it's a big problem. We messed up. Now it's gonna take equal amount of time to fix it up. You have to accept it. You can, oh, like we only have 5 minutes to solve it. No. It does not matter. Even if that is factually true, don't even think about it. Because here's the deal, it cannot be accelerated. So you do what you can do. Apply brakes where you can apply brakes. So it's one of those things that you have to accept. So what about the solution? How can we solve it? Like, am I saying it is like, oh, this is a solved problem? Doesn't that mean like other people don't know it? No, they know it. They know it better than I do. But humanity does have certain, again, growing pains, so to say, is that we have this affectionate love with new things rather than practical things. Meaning, if you have a city and city is like crowded, you cannot go to them and it's like, hey, we should build some trams, let's just say. It's low cost enough and it's gonna move people around, remove some congestion. People are like, no. Then you can come to them and it's like, Hyperloop. They're like, yes. It's like, sir, it does not work. It's a scam. It does not work. The end. You can burn millions and billions and billions of dollars. It will not work. It fundamentally breaks everything about mass transit. It cannot work. Like, but it's new. It's like, sir, it's a fake, but it's new. It's almost like sex. It's like, you're going to get AIDS, but you still want to have it. So it's one of those things. We have that issue. So every engineer, every technician, every scientist knows 10,000 ways of solving global warming. But we always have that, can't we have this new thing? It's like, dude, all our old tools are more than good enough. More than good enough. We figured it out by, I don't even need to touch any technology that was made, let's say, after 2000. Like before that, we have every single technology that we need to solve this global warming issue. So solutions are deployed in phases. That's why I said, like, we are in the third and final phase. First phase is tool development. Okay, we detected ozone layer failure. Okay, figure it out what to do. Okay, our gas is the problem. We're gonna change the gas. Awesome. We figured it out. We built options in the lab. Then we went to testing in small scale. Of course, first very expensive units were tried and developed. And then once we solved that, then we did deployment and scale. At this point in time, global warming, basically ozone hole is no longer an issue for us. Why? Because we have solved it. So that's how it happens. It always happens in three phases. You have tool development, you have testing in small scale, and deployment at scale. At this point in time, majority of global warming mitigation tools is in somewhere in between. Basically, testing in small scale is already done, and deployment at scale is one of those things that we are deploying. It's almost like cleaning a river. If you ask a single individual to clean a river, it's not going to happen. If you ask a whole state to clean a river, it can be done super easily. So it's one of those things that big problem requires multiple small solutions rather than one giant one. And this is our limitation on our growing pain. Basically, we want silver bullet. Can we just have fusion and it will solve all our problem? No, it won't. If we ever went into fusion with that mindset, definitely it won't solve any of the problem, maybe even exacerbate it. So it's one of those things that we have to understand. Many small tools that we have already built, already in this stage, basically deployment at scale, all we have to do is increase their throttle, go all out on them. That we are already doing. Is just like, how about we accelerate it? So it will fix it. Now, one of the most bitter aspect of it is that it's going to take time. No matter what you do, even if I get I or any engineer get like a complete control of humanity and it's like we're working our ass off on it, it's still going to take at least a century to fix it. So do not be like, oh, 5 years, we have 5 years, we have 10 years, humanity is going to go poof in 20 years. No, don't even think about that. We do what you can do, improve the situation a bit better, hope brick by brick, day by day, it will have an effect. Will it have it? Of course, we messed it up this way. We're going to fix it this way. So it's going to take time. You have to accept it. That's the absolute law. You have to accept it. That's going to take time. Then there is no perfect solution. Be mindful. The solutions I'm offering that will have certain side effects. Now people are, oh, it has this and that. It's like, don't think about that. Why? Global warming is worst. So all I'm offering is, how about this is dangerous? This is like poof the whole biosphere. How about this? Just minor damage to biosphere. But you're like, no, I want zero. No, then nothing will happen. That's why I specified, do not ever become anti-human. That's how people go into that. Oh, we really need energy, but there is no energy source that is 100% good. So what if we poof the humanity? It's like, no. So global warming bad. How about less bad? And then once we have that timeline, once we have sorted this issue, next generation will make it even better. As I say, again, we do not get alien instruction manual, so we have to do best with what we have. No perfect useful tool, but it's better than global warming running its full course, and not to mention, it's much more useful to actually do something rather than not do anything. So, and alone, brick by brick, that's why I made this videos in parts, as in, if we only deploy part 1, nothing will happen. Part 2, nothing will happen. Part 10, 20, then it's like, whoa, we have solved this issue, exactly like how we did with ozone system. So alone, all the tools that I'm talking about is useless. Deploy them in concert, things can happen. So this is the solution aspect of it. So let's talk about water. Now water, we are running out of water, specifically fresh water or potable water in some places it's called. What does fresh water mean? Simply means it's not salty. It's something that majority of Earth's biosphere can directly drink and digest without having too much issue. And then like land-based, specifically speaking. So how does nature maintain it? If it's such a small resource that it is going away, how the heck nature maintains it? Nature maintains it by self-replenishment, meaning nature has what we call natural desalination plant. So you have water, water in bodies, it runs off to the sea one way or the another, and then evaporation happens. Basically, sun makes love to the water, water evaporates, that evaporation goes into the upper atmosphere, cools down, and then it rains or snows, and then the cycle repeats. So basically, all the urine, all the poop that we added into the waters generally get left into the sea, and sea becomes salty. So it's one of those things that is self-replenishment cycle. Basically, we have evaporation gives us pure water again. This cycle can go on practically forever, so to say. So water is a self-replenishment circuit. Problem is management, not the supply. We are not running out of water. We are running out of the proper ways of managing it. We are mismanaging it, and eventually we are gonna run out if we keep mismanaging it. Because here's the global warming has shifted one of the core vector. Vector was we used to have a lot of snowfall. We no longer have snowfall. Why? Because that temperature is a bit higher. So even if snow is falling, it's not staying in snow format for long. Basically, this used to be 1953. This is 2019. So you can see exponentially less snow, and this is everywhere. I had the luxury of going to Jammu, as in like a top in Himalayas area, and they had basically milestone. Milestone had month written on them. Basically, they're not supposed to go very deep into it in January. So milestone would be here and it will be written January. Then few milestones later it will be June. June as in like in summer. So in ice sheet generally used to retreat. So you're like, okay, but here's it. This is awesome. Then I was the rider was taking us, and then I noticed it again. I'm like, okay, that's odd. Then I noticed it again. I asked the driver, it's like, why the heck these things are repeating? He said, like, back in his day when he was kid, it used to come that far. Then it shrunk. Then it shrunk again. So it's a shrinking. It's absolute thing at this point in time. There is no ice-based place where people are like, no, everything is fine. No, everywhere they're noticing, bro, is shrinking, and it's happening inside a human lifespan. Not even lifespan, inside a generation. Lifespan is 90, generation is 30 years. So it's happening inside 30 years now. So global warming has shifted that snowfall vector. What does that mean? That simply means we have more rainfall. Because be mindful, sea has not changed. Sea is still boiling water. Sun is still putting the energy in. Sea still can only absorb till 100 degrees Celsius until the water molecules just yeets out of there. So that is fixed. That's still happening. So we have steam coming out as regularly or at higher rate, but we no longer have condensate state, meaning we are no longer freezing. Condensate, I'm saying, basically slow stage. We are just directly turning into rain. So that's the biggest issue, that shift that has happened. So mismanagement starts because of the fact that we no longer have snow, we have only rain. So what's the first tool? First tool is harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is surprisingly easy to do, and it can be done surprisingly well in concrete jungles, which has very, very big capacity. Meaning if you really pass a law, like rainwater harvesting is something that we're gonna do, and everybody worked their ass off to do it. It's not gonna cost a lot, nor it's gonna cost too much time. It's a surprisingly quick, surprisingly effective thing, and it has very big, basically, capacity advantage. Meaning it can seriously take care of situations very early on. Now you may be like, okay, I may not be the only individual that knows that, then why the heck not everybody does that? Unfortunately, our ancestors kind of messed this part up. There is old laws, and I'm not talking in like USA alone. If I'm not mistaken, there are many European countries that has some laws similar to this, is that where they cannot do basically rainwater harvesting simply because it's like stealing from natural river water. It's like because apparently two states had fight, and they went to the federal area, and the federal was like, okay, both of them have to behave. So they are like, okay, neither of them will do rainwater harvesting because that's stealing the water or altering the flow of water. Like those laws are weird, beyond weird. So that's the reason why people can't do rainwater harvesting. Many times you will see like, dude, why the heck you are doing in flood, basically flood water mitigation? Just do rainwater harvesting. And you will be like, oh, earth cannot absorb. Earth can directly absorb it. Trust me. That's how nature built it. Nature designed the system to absorb boatload of water. Where do you think groundwater comes from? So earth can absorb it. Like majority of it, earth can absorb. You don't need like giant tunnels that are like diverting flood water. Like, nature designed in such a way that water can be absorbed into groundwater. And we are like, oh, groundwater is going down because you are not recharging it. You are wasting it away. Like we are spending billions of dollars to dig tunnels to divert basically flood water rather than diverting them down. Why we are not doing it downwards? Because again, stealing, there is law. I'm not even joking. It's hilarious to me that apparently this is the law in many places and people are fighting it. That's the most dumb thing. But we have to let go or go poof. The option is let the laws be laws or go poof. So option is there. Now what will be the benefit of that if we really did this? Compulsory for flash flood protection, meaning this is the India's stress map. Basically, what is the water stress level, and this is India's rain map. Now you may be like, wait a minute, India gets a lot of rain. Yes, we do. We literally had festivals back in my when I was younger, Sawan we call it, which is 1 month long. It just rains, a whole month dedicated to rain, so to say. So how the heck we have this much rain and this? Again, we are not doing rainwater harvesting. Now, rainwater harvesting also solves this issue, which we have flash flooding, because again, what used to be the natural flow of scenario, so to say, in case of India, is like water will come, water vapor, so to say, it will hit basically Himalayas, it will turn into snow and slowly drip over the case of year, and then rain season will recharge it again, of course, boil it off, go there, condense, become snow. It's like the cycle will repeat again and again. But nowadays we no longer have the snow cycle, we have directly dumping. So we have a lot of flooding issue, flash flooding. And I'm reasonably sure most of Americans will also notice that we have too many flash flood warnings now. Like if you look at the flash flooding warning from 2000 to 2020 to 2020 to 2023, you're like, dude, it has exponentially increased in frequency. That's the reason for it. We no longer have snowfall. We just have direct snowfall, which instantly turns to basically water, or sometimes direct rain itself. So we have to do rainwater harvesting for flash flood management, and it will also take care of groundwater decline. Everybody is like worried, oh, groundwater is going down. We are not recharging it. Nature is recharging it. We are not recharging it. It's like, dude, we can take care of it. Now, what is the good news in this? The most amazing news about it, especially in India, is that there are many places that have suffered absolute drought, where they are like gone. Area is poofed. But people at that point in time, ironically, is very forward thinking, and not even forward thinking, I would say far more open to suggestions. Even though you more have went there and want them to take care of the season, they would not have done that. But once they are poofed out of existence, many villages in India, remote villages that nobody even cares about, it's like some people went there and it's like, hey, let's do rainwater harvesting. People are like, dude, the water is gone. It's like, just do it. Just do it. You have nothing to lose. Just do it. And surprisingly, people are very absorbent in this sort of scenario, willing to change, and they changed it, and water issue went away. Like, ironically, there are situations where you have one village completely taken care of water, and other villages in the next season, because again they are not doing rainwater harvesting, gone. They are still drying out. I'm like, what the hell? But it is very cheap to do. That's why I specified poor places in India are able to do it. It's one of those things that if government truly wants to do it, it can be done surprisingly quickly, and we'll see results surprisingly quickly. The ROI on these things is awesome. And I'm talking in this area, as in like the desert area, like which barely receives rains, has like super high temperatures. That area, there are many small villages have figured it out. And you're like, oh, it's for the villages. Here's the deal. Everybody does that. This whole rainwater becomes a groundwater reservoir. Whole country, which we are detecting from satellites, is like, oh, this is groundwater river that is going down. We are not recharging it. Every area, if they start to recharge, everywhere the groundwater will go up. So ROI on this is very, very quick. And people have started to do that, so I'm very happy. At least India, at least more than enough people are doing it, and because of their success, more and more places are joining. It's very slow. It should be something that central government should, like, light fire up their ass to get it done everywhere. But nothing is better than something. I said it opposite. Basically, something is better than nothing, and people are doing it. This is one of the easiest solution. This can take care of this part, high extreme water stress, and again, it will also save us from flash flooding. Then we come to the second tool of it, recycling. Now, in recycling water technology, we have development of what we call multi-stage reverse osmosis. Why? It's one of the best low power demand and high efficiency with high recovery. What does that translate to? That simply means it's still going to take you megawatts of power, but how many cubic meters of water you can manage with that megawatt of power is exponentially higher in this system versus any other ecosystem. So multi-stage reverse osmosis is really awesome. And high recovery simply means if you have 100 cubic meter coming in, how many you get out is still higher, because if you have directly one stage, you have high pressure pump, it goes to reverse osmosis membrane like home RO appliances, you get per ml, that's barely 30%. Majority you just waste, or sometimes it is really high pressure, you can achieve like 50%. But you're still wasting 50% of it. But if you do multi-stage, basically send that concentrate to second stage, then do that again multiple times. Sometimes people do it as high as 6 times. The concentrate that you're going to get at the final output, that's super concentrate, meaning you have to make sure this does not go anywhere. It has to become like boiled off and make into a sort of, what will I say, the easiest way? It's a salt mine, so to say. It's a very, very high concentrate, but you get a lot of water recovery. And quality of water is also very high, because this is one of the few technologies that we have that can take care of forever chemicals. What is forever chemical? Because of our increased reliance on pharmacies, we have started to make some tools that are awesome. The medicines are awesome. Consequence, they are awesome. Is that because they work in our bodies without breaking down. They do not break down in outside environment also. It's like we wanted a plastic that can survive everything, and we built it, and then that's the problem. It's like it survives everything. So, but RO does remove it. So our urination, our poop is dumping all that chemicals into the water supply. It can be removed safely using reverse osmosis, multi-stage, multi-phase reverse osmosis. And then we can add ultraviolet just to make sure that no bacteria or viruses makes extra love to that. So it's a very doable situation. Now it is very costly, let that be very clear. It's not something that we can easily do. In this regard, I do say, like in case of basically rainwater harvesting, India is doing quite well. But in case of water recovery, Western nations are doing quite well, and they always had the idea of like, do not let the sewage directly go into river. Unfortunately, India did not take care of that part very well. Like that's we are not doing quite well on that. But here, even though you have like sewage treatment plant in almost everywhere, every counties, every district, and all that, these are not designed to recover the water. They are designed to basically take extremely hazardous water to safe water. Now, not drinkable water, safe water. Safe water as in like if it goes to a river, it's not gonna poof all the fish and all that. But if you take that water, dump into this puppy, multi-stage reverse osmosis, then you're gonna get proper drinking water. That water you can directly dump it back into the city grid, or you can just recharge groundwater if you do not want to, pump it again. So this is the only tool we have. Now, India is poor in this regard, and if India really wants to expand to 2 billion people or 3 billion people, we have to do this. This is the only way we can truly achieve, even with rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is one input. We need second input also. So recycling is the best way. And if we can achieve recycling efficiency of around 50% more, as in like more than 50% is recycled, we're good. So this is second tool. Then we come to the most bitter aspect of us, is that we have to let go of some bad habits. So these bad habits are very, very critical. First example is dams. We cannot build dams. Dams are what we classify as magnificent disaster, because they cause extreme water boil off. What does that mean? That simply means if you have a river that is flowing, it has a X amount of flow rate. It has a X amount of speed. But what happens? You build a dam. The flow does not change, but the speed goes to zero. And you are adding surface area. Now, how much surface area you are? You are talking about like square kilometers of area you are adding to the same amount of water. Water volume did not change. You are adding a lot of surface area. What does that mean? That simply means it evaporates. Now, if you have multiple dams, like basically China went all out on that speed, they added almost one dam per 100 kilometer per river. They went like bonkers on that. Outcome, all rivers dried out. Like this, I'm pretty sure you must have heard in the news, basically last year, around like extreme summertime, they are like, all the rivers are gone, like the river things, you can directly walk on the basically see, river bed. It was that dry, because it causes extreme water boil off, and it's an ecological disaster also. Meaning, how do you think that back in the day before us, there were still species, the species were still peeping and pooing and all that. It's like, how the heck rivers used to digest that? Because they had life form in that. So life form evolved to take care of urine, evolved to take care of poop. It was biological matter for them. It was like food. Ecosystem was there, but we terminated the ecosystem. Basically, we made alive water into dead water. Why we made it dead? We did it intentionally, but we forgot that sediments are necessary part of the ecosystem. We stopped all the sediments. Fishes were like, I think we are missing something. Microbial life, yeah, we did. So consequence, this whole river became dead, and it could not handle the bio waste, so to say, that it was designed to handle. So not only we may take a river that was alive, able to take care of our, poop and piss, it's no longer like able to take care of anything, and not to mention, we are boiling it off, even though input has not changed. And be mindful, input is going down because our glaciers are shrinking. So the ecological disaster happening because of dams are damn. And political nightmare, this is the primary reason why we have stupid laws that you cannot do rainwater harvesting. So it's one of those things. And thankfully, China has given the world, because again, we kind of knew this. That we are increasing surface area a lot. But doesn't that mean that like sun is making more love to more area? Doesn't that mean that water will be boiled off more? But like China showed the world, yeah, it will. Like if you keep just building dams everywhere, it's like, oh, it's going to save us water. And no, sir. You are the reason why we're going to run out of water. And again, China is a living proof of that. Do that and you go out of water. So The quickest way to kill a river is dam it. So you want to make sure that you do not dam it anymore. Like, we have to let go of this bad habit. And then what about seawater desalination? Now, of course, it's a good tool. It should be developed, absolutely. It should be built in the random places, of course. Random as in, like, you do not want all the water coming from one place. It's very difficult for transportation. You want in multiple places, absolutely. It can help. But if you are doing rainwater harvesting and water recycling, then this will be just a trickle charge. It can be done financially. But if you directly, no, I'm feeding a nation on desalination, we don't have that kind of energy yet. So this is one of those things. It cannot be a backbone technology yet, but it can be a very good trickle charger, where it's like, hey, let's take care of this. Like, we are taking care of 90% of our water, but 10% we're just adding on. Or in some places, if you have extreme drought, you can speed up the recovery part, because ironically, soil has this weird habit is that it only absorbs water if it's wet. That's why we have wet lands. If you have dry land, it does not absorb water, it becomes flash flood. So we may require to quote unquote wet the lands, and you do not want to wet the lands with salty water. You may require this sort of tool, but again, trickle charging tool, not the main charge, just trickle charge. Rainwater harvesting is the first tool that takes care of flash flooding and the fact that we no longer have snow. Water recycling, that takes care of basically the majority of our water needs. Then this sort of basically making sure that we are not boiling off whatever rivers we have remaining. These things combined will take care of our water needs for the foreseeable future. And of course, if we keep slowly improving, over time it will be like, yeah, we don't even worry about it. Be mindful, I am talking about Indian villages that have taken care of it. Imagine what will happen if whole India does that, or whole USA does that, or whole Europe. It's like, no, we're gonna take care of this. Problem will be solved. So this was my presentation on basically how to solve global warming. Part 1, we are talking about water. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.